Welcome back to Growth Catalyst. This episode, we are going to look at the science of paralinguistics. Well, don't be scared. It's something that we use every single day. It's something all of us have to be mindful of, but very few are. It's something which can create empires. It's something which can destroy empires. What am I talking about? I am talking about how you communicate. A lot of times we focus, rightly so, on what we communicate. It's very, very important. But what is not enough? How is almost as important, and a lot of times even more important than what we communicate. So paralinguistics is all about your voice, the tonality you use, the pitch, the volume, and how you use your voice, how you make your voice dance around, and how your voice commands, gets respect, or loses respect in the process of speaking. That's what we are going to look at, and that's called paralinguistics. Let's dive in and see what it is. When we study paralinguistics, we study all about how, and how is the most important thing, we use our voice to give the emotional coloring to the words that we use. When we use the words, they are not just like the printed words on a book. They have quality, and the quality is given by how you speak. Do I speak slowly? Do I shout? Do I use a low pitch, a calm, relaxed voice? Or do I find myself being anxious? All of this will determine how your message is seen. And that study, understanding how you use your tonality, understanding how you use the pitch, how you use the volume, and the shades of all of this is what makes paralinguistics such an interesting subject to study. Let's take each of the elements one by one and see how they can help us. Number one is our tonality. The tonality is the coloring that we give to the voice. The tonality is the coloring that you give to your words. The tonality is what makes it interesting to hear or very monotonous and boring. A lot of times, I'm sure all of us have this great experience of falling asleep in our classes. That is because a lot of professors, however good they are, their subjects technically sound and fantastic in terms of their ability to understand, have not understood the power of their voice and have drawled on in a very monotonous way of speaking. Now I'm going to teach about physics, which is you've already slept. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of the tonality. If the tonality is right, then people will get the right message. A lot of times, the tonality makes a difference between what you understand and what you understand, whether you understand the meaning as A or whether you understand the meaning as B. For example, if you ask me, how do you do? And I say, I'm fine. What did you get? If you ask me, how are you? I'm fine. What did you get? The first one, when I said I'm fine with a sigh, I'm fine. You know I'm not fine. You know there is something disturbing me. You know that there is something bothering me, and I am bringing it out in my voice. And I'm not articulating it, but yet I'm articulating it. The second one, very clear. I'm fine. I am voicing it out. So that tonality is what makes the difference between words rightly understood and words wrongly understood, or probably in spite of what the meaning conveyed by the words, you understand what the person is saying. Yeah, that's the power of tonality. And let's move on to point number two. The second point is all about the pitch of your voice. Pitch. Higher the pitch, the more friendlier, interesting, and excited that you come across. The higher and higher and higher you come across as excited, and sometimes the higher the pitch is, you are also coming across as anxious. The lower and lower and lower pitch shows control, authority, and you can differentiate when somebody speaks in a slow, relaxed, low pitch. It indicates authority, it indicates control. But when a person speaks in a higher pitch, you can almost discern the excitement in the voice. A lot of times, commentators, whether it's football commentators, tennis commentators, cricket commentators, when they describe the match situation, they would use a normal pitch. But when they describe the shot, describe the excitement of the process, they get into higher pitch because that's the natural way of speaking. And the more controlled the pitch is, the more slower and lower the pitch is, you know that the person is serious. You know that the person is controlling the situation. You know that the words are being given a lot more importance, and you must listen to it. That's the quality that the pitch brings to the room. Now, let's go to the third. The third element is pace. How fast do you deliver it? How slowly you deliver it. That's what I mean by pace. A lot of times when you're excited, the pace is faster. When you're talking very, very fast, the excitement comes through, but not necessarily the message. So you need to remember that. When people speak very fast, irrespective of the tonality, whether they speak on a higher tone, on differentiated tone, monotonous tone, when people speak very fast, it's very, very difficult for other people to understand clearly what is being spoken about. When people slow it down, especially for complex subjects, life becomes easy. People can understand it as the person who is delivering the message intends it to be understood. So if you're delivering exciting news, yes, go ahead. Please speak very fast. But if you're giving a presentation, especially about a bit of a complex subject, you want to elucidate, you want to make it simpler, use a slower pace, speak in a relaxed manner so that you come across, your message comes across, and people have the time to think it through and understand. So the pace at which you speak, whether you are giving enough gaps between two words, whether you are speaking in a slow, relaxed fashion, whether there are gaps in your words so that people can understand, process, and figure out what you are talking to them, or there is absolutely no space between the words, that you are quickening your words, that you are delivering your sentences fast and fast and fast, people will find it very difficult to understand. So you need to judge at what pace you want to speak. Sometimes, if you are nervous in the presentation, the tendency is to fasten it, quicken it, and finish it off because you want to run out of that place. Remember that that's going to be counterproductive. Irrespective of how nervous you are, you still want your message to reach. You don't want people to misunderstand you or completely not understand you. So, irrespective of how nervous you are, if you quicken the pace at which you are speaking, it is not going to help you. So, you might as well slow down, especially if you are delivering presentations. But if you're delivering very exciting news, if you're delivering very interesting bits of banter in communication, go ahead. You can use a very, very fast, quickened pace of delivery. The next element is volume. Volume, in a way of speaking, is all about whether you can reach the last row when you are presenting. For example, if it is a large room, is your voice having the ability to reach the last person in the last row? That is what we mean by volume. Sometimes, if you adopt that style of speaking in your personal conversation, you would come across as very, very loud and it will be unpleasant. If your voice is not loud and you are giving a presentation, especially without mic, then you will not be heard beyond the first couple of rows. So you need to adjust the volume at which you are speaking, or whether you are yelling or loud enough, depending on the context, depending on how many people are in the room. And for most of the time, for small group discussion, for one-on-one conversation, normal voice, normal volume is good enough. But if there are many people, even with mic, you may want to try a louder volume of speaking so that you can reach the last person in the last room. That's something that you need to keep in mind depending on the context in which you are speaking.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to be an emperor. That's not my business. I don't want to rule or conquer anyone. I should like to help everyone if possible. Jew, Gentile, black man, white. We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world, there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone. The way of life can be free and beautiful, but we have lost the way. Greed has poisoned men's souls, has barricaded the world with hate, has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed. We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent and all will be lost. The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world, millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people. To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Soldiers, don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, and what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men, machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world, a decent world, that will give men a chance to work, that will give youth a future and old age a security. By the promise of these things, brutes have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill that promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves, but they enslave the people. Now let us fight to fulfill that promise. Let us fight to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let us fight for a world of reason, a world where science and progress will lead to all men's happiness. Soldiers, in the name of democracy, let us all unite!
Other things that you can do to improve your vocal quality? Yes, absolutely, definitely. There are a number of exercises that you can do to improve your vocal quality, the ability to deliver messages in a more effective manner. I will start with the first one. Remember that your voice does not start from here. It doesn't start from the throat. It starts from your diaphragm. So you need to strengthen your ability to control your breath. So that is how you will be able to talk for a longer time without getting tired, without getting your voice constrained. Otherwise, your voice will be getting tired and your throat, if you're speaking from your throat continuously, your voice will get very, very tired. Your throat will get very, very tired and you will not be able to speak for a longer times. So one of the simplest techniques that you can do to strengthen your diaphragm is a breathing technique. A very simple way of doing it would be what I call as a 4-7-8 technique. Inhale for 4 counts, hold it for 7 counts, and exhale through your mouth for 8 counts. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4, and then hold it for the count of 7, and then exhale with a whooshing sound through your mouth. So 4-7-8, it strengthens your diaphragm and it also strengthens your voice quality. That would be our exercise number. The next exercise number 2, is strengthening your voice clarity. Clarity comes when words are spelled out, enunciated with clarity. If I'm speaking, you don't know what I'm speaking, right? So the each words have to come out, not hit with each other, tumble on top of each other. Each word has to cascade down very clearly. And one of the exercise is to use exaggerated mouth movements and enunciate the words slowly so that people get it. Try this. While I try doing it, it's exactly what I want to do. Exaggerate your mouth movement so that each word is enunciated clearly. Use exaggerated mouth movement and read out loud. A lot of times, this looks like kindergarten practice. Maybe it is. A lot of times, redoing those practices actually helps clarity in your voice. When you push your mouth, and mouth is a muscle, as much as your hand and legs and back muscles. So you need to strengthen the muscles and you need to also strengthen your voice, which is a muscle, your mouth, which is a muscle, your throat, which is a muscle, your diaphragm, which is a muscle. So all of this have to be strengthened. Only then your voice gets strengthened, your voice gets the quality that it deserves. So speak slowly, speak with your mouth movement exaggerated. And when you practice it at least for a few minutes a day, then you would understand how the words tumble on top of each other or how to ensure that the words cascade down one after the other in a clear manner. The other thing that you can do to improve your voice clarity is practicing some of the tongue twisters, whichever language that you speak in. Because I'm rendering this in English, I'm using English tongue twisters, but every language has its own tongue twisters. So you may want to practice that. One of the tongue twisters in English could be, she sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. When you use, and there are many tongue twisters like that, when you practice tongue twisters, you get used to saying words without one word hitting on top of the other, getting lost in the process, and each word coming out of your mouth in a very clear manner, which is all about voice clarity. Practice it, try it out, and see the difference in a few days. You'll be astonished by how well you are able to, how clear your voice sounds. All of this happening to you with very, very immediate results. So how do you use all of this for good speech, good vocal communication? Remember that all of these have to come together. While I talked about tonality, pitch, pace, volume separately, you don't consciously think about each of these when you speak. You don't really consciously think about, oh, I need to talk in this tone, I need to talk in this pitch, I need to talk at this pace. You don't really think about that, especially when you are delivering a big speech in front of board of directors or big speech in front of your boss or discussing ideas with your colleagues. You don't really think about how you sound. And that is why practice is very important. Unless you practice, unless you practice consciously thinking about your tonality, thinking about the pace, thinking about your pitch, thinking about your volume, it will be very difficult for you to do it when it comes to actual delivery. So practice it, take few paragraphs, read it aloud, write down your ideas so that they come out coherently, and practice them aloud without seeing them, without looking at them. The practice will help you in terms of controlling your voice and the voice clarity and the strength of your voice carrying through and the words cascading in a nice flow rather than tumbling on top of each other and getting lost in the process. So it all comes down to how well you practice, how consistently you practice, and how consciously you practice each of the elements that we talked about. Go ahead, practice. You'll be able to speak very well. Like and subscribe to the channel for more tips like this. See you in our next episode.